Good afternoon. I'm Laureen Garrow, Director of the TV Division at MIPCOM. Welcome to this afternoon's Mastermind Keynote. We're now going to hear from a man who is helping to redefine and reshape entertainment in a mobile world. It's a pleasure to introduce Sean Mills, Head of Original Content at Snap. With 173 million people using Snapchat every day, and on average opening the app 18 times a day, in just a few years, Snap has emerged as a powerful and hugely successful innovator in the mobile entertainment space. It's done this by creating shows eagerly consumed by young viewers. Sean Mills joined Snap in 2015, having previously reinvented Now This News and growing its audience from 150,000 to 60 million in just 1 year. He was also president of The Onion, the leading humor site in the United States. In his keynote today, Sean will introduce us to Snap's growing slate of shows and explain how they're on the forefront of made-for-mobile content. He will also share with us how Snap approaches partnerships with quote-unquote traditional media companies. Facilitating Sean's remarks will be Kate Bulkley, journalist, writer, presenter, and analyst. So now, without further delay, please join me in a warm, warm welcome to Sean and Kate. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you all here. And Sean, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here at MIPCOM.
This is exciting.
And this is an exciting day. I mean, you have this big announcement that came out overnight about forming a joint venture, a new studio, a content studio with NBCUniversal, which is really exciting. We're going to talk more about that later. But I thought what would be a good place to start, particularly for a television audience, because these are people that make, produce television, was to kind of start with just kind of high level. Where, what is Snap? Is it a mobile messaging application? Is it a camera? Is it content that disappears in 24 hours? What actually is Snap? Where are you coming from?
Yeah, so I think, look, the short answer is it's a communication and storytelling platform. That's how I think about it. But a lot of sometimes is made of understanding what Snap is, and there being some initial confusion because it doesn't look like other social platforms do.
Right.
The way I think about it,
it opens up as a camera.
Yeah.
Which is very different.
Yeah, so that's the first element I would mention. I mean, it's essentially 3 screens. There's a camera, there's communication, and there's content. The camera opening to the camera is a very unique part of our approach. We want to encourage people the moment that they open the app to contribute, to create, to express themselves. We think that the mobile medium is a much more visual medium. The desktop computer is a keyboard-based system, so it's a lot more text. And so the flashing cursor of a Google search box makes a lot of sense as the opening. We think for mobile, the camera makes great sense as an opening. And so we have this great camera that you can take video and photo with, and we add lots of fun, creative tools.
The lenses, all the funny lenses.
And filters and stickers.
I love the AI stuff now, where you can actually have an AI, like I can put myself in an environment and I have this little AI sort of augmented reality
Augmented reality.
It's cool. AR, sorry.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's the camera, and that's the center of the app. If you go to the left, that's communication. And if you think about it, the camera's Snap, the communication's chat. So the communication side, I think, is also unique because Snapchat's a lot about connecting to your very close friends. So your 5, your 10, your 15 closest friends. This is about deep engagement with your close friends, which is a different approach to the social graph than other places, right? It's not about one-to-many sort of broadcasting out a message to a large group. And so that's communication. And then if you go to the right, it's content. It's all these sort of different storytelling formats that we've developed that are really made for mobile.
But there was kind of an evolution that happened. I mean, when it started, it was kind of user stuff, and then you've sort of migrated to publishers getting involved. I mean, you had a lot of big names that were working to help you create content that showed up on Snap.
Yeah, it's really just variations on a theme. It's storytelling. So the first content product we had was user stories, where you would tell the story of your day with video and photos to your close friends, and it was in chronological order, which was a little different than the sort of feed-based of other social platforms. The second,
Will remain nameless.
well, there's lots of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
The first sort of content format, premium content format we sort of developed was called Our Stories.
Yeah.
This is where the community can take videos, but when they're at a certain location, they can contribute to tell the story of that thing. So the Super Bowl and the Oscars, and you could do one about MIPCOM where everyone here could submit, and then we have editors.
And then they curated them together.
That's right.
That was cool too.
That's right. So that's Our Stories. The next content format we developed was Publisher Stories. This was our sort of effort to reimagine what a magazine or a newspaper that was really born on mobile should look like and how it should work. And
you had a lot of content people get involved with that. I mean, they still are. I mean, Condé Nast was part of that. There were a lot of publishing brands that were involved in it.
Yeah, we have Condé Nast, Hearst.
But also NBC, yeah. I mean.
Yeah, well, NBC came on with shows, which was the last content format, and the latest one that we launched within the last year. So that was we moved from from magazines and newspapers to sort of imagining what's an episode of mobile television look like, again, for mobile.
So when you look at this, I mean, it seems to me, I call them the FANGA. It's, the Facebook, the Amazon, Netflix, Google, Apple. Of course, now it's Snap, so we got the FANGAs. Everyone seems to be wanting to get into content, video content. It's the thing, Scripted is great. We're gonna talk more about the NBC, the joint venture studio with NBC, which is a lot about scripted. I mean, is this just the natural progression? This is where you have to go because this is what the audience wants.
Well, I'll take a step back in terms of sort of what our approach to content is. There's two things I think that are very sort of unique about how Snapchat has approached content. The first is that we love scarcity. Right, that stories page, that content page, is very. It's a select amount of premium content, a select amount of premium partners. It's not an open platform, and so we love that. We love the idea of television in the 1970s and bringing a huge audience to a small amount of content that can create sort of a large sense of shared enjoyment. So I think that's really unique. And then the other thing that's really informed how we've designed all those formats is that we believe that mobile is a fundamentally new medium. I think that's a little different. A lot of people sort of look at mobile as just another screen to distribute content to that was made for another place. If you think about the way that people consume video on mobile, and a lot has been made of consumption. I think it's 72% of global video consumption is now on mobile devices. They're holding the screen in their hands. Their thumb is hovering over the screen. There's a lot competing for their attention. So the behavior is so different. And I think what hasn't been really explored as much, and is something that we're really passionate about, is that the creative process needs to have a fundamental shift as a result of that behavior. So,
and it's not just about the vertical screen. It is you're going to do vertical content. You do vertical content. You don't want people to turn, right?
They don't turn.
They don't turn because people don't turn, right?
Yeah.
It's that, but it's also, as you say, it's a different kind of medium. It's a mobile medium. You can do other things.
Yeah.
So I know you've put together a clip that kind of shows us kind of what is a Snap show. I think would that be a good time to show this?
Yeah, I think so. And what's notable about this is that, we talked about the camera. Snapchat is the largest mobile video creation platform in the world. And so we have this great advantage in terms of thinking about what these new formats will look like because we can learn from how our community tells stories. When I talk about Our Stories, we have editors that are looking at how the community responds to every single snap and what holds their attention. So we've tried to take some of the DNA of what we've learned from how our audience tells stories and then start to work with professional storytellers and production companies.
Okay, so this is kind of how to make a Snap show, right? So play clip 1, please.
Hey guys, I'm Erin Lynn from the Snapchat show with the rundown.
No, you guys, this is all wrong. Let me show you how it's done. Okay, almost there. Much better. We're going vertical, people. After all, shows are custom made for Snap. Wholly original, produced and shot for mobile. Shows have a beginning.
Rolling? Yeah, let's go.
Middle.
I gotta sing comments?
You gotta sing the comments from your fans.
An end. Made up of snaps that Snapchatters can tap to move forward.
So pace is super important.
Listen, dramatic builds, great.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
This isn't the place and you don't got the time. Make your point and make it fast.
I'm waiting. Bing!
text, split screens, motion graphics. These are your friends.
Help me help you.
Speaking of friends, we've known each other for about 45 seconds now.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
That's exactly how it should feel. Conversational.
Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
Snapchatters don't watch shows, they interact with them. I'm your friend, Erin Lim. Bye.
It's over. Go home.
That's a great way to kind of a setup, right? And that's one of your talents, right? That's,
yeah. That's Erin is the host of a show that we did with E called The Rundown, which we just did our 100th episode.
Wow, 100th episode. So let's delve into that a little bit more because you've got some clips to show us. I mean, how did you actually get into this decision to sort of move into more professional content and how the stories should be crafted and how they might be different because of this platform? You did a series called Good Luck America, right?
Yeah.
So talk us through that because you have a couple of clips that'll kind of give us a progression of the things you learned.
Yeah, I think we did something that was sort of maybe surprising for a technology social platform, but it was the only way I knew how, which is we put together a production and a show in-house, and just to sort of as R&D to sort of play and experiment. It was during the 2016 election, so we created a show called Good Luck America. Our head of news had done some on-camera work for CNN, so pulled him in and then we built a production team. I brought on some of the most inventive people I knew from editing and cinematographers and motion graphics, and we just tried to crack the code on, again, what we learned from how the audience was already, creating, but what made sense. So we created the show Good Luck America, and I think we have a few clips that I think sort of show a little bit about how we sort of took that DNA and applied it. So the first thing here is the first 3 episodes we made. Again, this was during the 2016 election. And I think it shows the importance of that you need to grab an audience right away. Again, there's a lot competing for their attention, so you need to open with a very high energy way. And you also need to put some of the big points at the top. It's a little different than the television narrative where if I was making a show about this conversation, I might have a slow pan and then a big reveal.
Right.
You'd lose everybody right there on mobile. So you've got to open right on you.
I don't want to lose everybody right away.
No.
Okay. So let's play the first clip. This is about catching their attention, right?
Yes.
Energy is the first clip.
I believe that she will win. I believe that she will win. I believe that she will win. I believe that she will win.
All politicians are vermin, and I am the vermin supreme. We can absolutely harness the energy of zombies based on giant hamster wheel technology.
Vampires are dead, and everyone knows the dead vote 100% Democrats.
I love the vampire man. Okay, so grab their attention. That's the first rule.
Yep.
What's the second rule?
So a couple other things we learned in experimentation. One was first-person sort of connection. So this is a hosted docu-style show. One thing we really thought was important is to frame the host not like you would see on television where you'd be back, you'd see their full body, maybe they'd be behind a desk. Make it look like you would FaceTime with a friend. So you see we punch in really close, it makes it a more intimate, it's a more personal, intimate medium. The other thing we played with were split screens, which is an old trick. It's comic paneling essentially, but it's really fun to see how much more, this is a highly concentrated form of storytelling. So you really need to get more story in less time. And so if you have B-roll, if you want to create context, the split screen is a great way to do that.
Okay, so let's play this is clip 3, vertical and split.
First stop on any presidential circus tour is Iowa, which is kind of weird, I know. It's mostly white people. This year, with everything playing out on social media and celebrity candidates, well, Donald Trump. Paul Ryan, Republican, Speaker of the House, mid-40s. Look how handsome this guy is. The Democrats, they have their issues.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
The party of Lincoln, Eisenhower, Reagan, Bush. It's being eaten alive from the inside by a name-calling reality TV star and a senator who everyone in Washington hates. Things are about to get really weird. Good luck, America.
And things did get really weird. Okay, and they're still weird. So that's the second rule.
Yeah.
What's the third rule?
The other thing that we just obsess over is pacing. And I think that just having an energetic approach to how you pace your content out and making it highly visual. You sort of have to keep waking the audience up to hold their attention. So this is a clip I think of Peter going to a gun show with a politician, and you can see it's sort of, I think it keeps your interest because it keeps you moving.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is clip 4, please.
What gun would you sell Bernie Sanders?
Probably a deer rifle.
Donald Trump.
Ruger GP100, like this one here.
Hillary Clinton.
One that shoots in reverse.
Oh, very nice.
I love it, you know. So you talked about the scarcity model before a little bit, but I'd like you maybe to expand on that, because that's kind of a key tenet, and also this idea of the disappearing bit. I mean, I always think of Snap as being, the content disappears in 24 hours, or maybe 48 if you're, if you've decided to give it a little more life, unless you save it. How does that work if you get into a world where people maybe missed it and maybe want to catch up, or maybe want to...
Yeah. So I think the ephemerality or the disappearing messages was a lot about how you communicated with your friends. If you're having a conversation with a friend and it's being recorded, it's going to be a very different one than if it's not. And our conversations that we have in everyday life are, in fact, disappearing. So, or they should be. So, so I think that how that applies to content, well, we're not so sure it does. So I think we're very comfortable with, as we're going to talk about getting into scripted and highly serialized programming, we want that to live for a long time and be accessible. And so I think it's more a function of how we communicate than the content part of the business.
Okay. And the scarcity bit, you'll still continue even when you get into scripted, because your idea is that you don't want to have a mass of stuff that nobody can find. The creators can't find their stuff, the audience can't find their stuff. Is that still going to be part of your model?
Yeah, I think that's really important, actually, because it requires us to be very selective about what we do and to really program, but it helps ensure the success for our partners and make sure that a huge audience, and that's really currency. I think from the partner standpoint, from the creator standpoint, from our standpoint, we just love that scarcity. I think that's pretty dear to us.
So when you talk about, well, we'll talk about that later, because I was going to say, when you get into, so really you've done a lot of what I would call unscripted content, and now you're really going to transition to scripted. So you're going to, as you say, you're going to have to maybe change some of what you've been doing. That was part of it.
I think there'll be some changes. Look, this is a year old, this product, and we've made 30 shows in the last year, 500 episodes of shows, and they've been seen by almost 100 million people now. So, and that's just the unscripted piece. So we've learned a lot there, and we've, to be clear, learned a lot from our partners. So NBC is obviously one of our closest partners, and we've done a tremendous amount with them. I think over 25% of our shows have been with NBC.
Wow.
But we have relationships with ABC, CBS, BBC, all the C's, every C.
All the C's.
and production companies and studios, and so they're teaching us. They're the experts in storytelling. Our job is to know our platform, and we believe that these partnerships with television companies are really an interesting part of our approach, because we think mobile video is a great complement to television. We don't see it as competitive whatsoever. It's just a fundamentally different medium, and it's one that I think we have a lot of advantages on our platform to be a great home for that medium. But I think we'll expand the types of programming and the types of relationships, but we think that it's interesting. We did a study with Nielsen. For a couple of our shows that were sort of reimaginings of linear programming on television.
Right, like one was The Voice, I think.
We did The Voice. That was actually our first show that we did with NBC. And again, that was, The Voice on Snapchat was a talent competition show, just like the linear show. It wasn't promotional or behind the scenes or the sort of shoulder digital content that you've seen in the past.
Right. It was a new show.
Yep.
Right.
We did something with ABC around The Bachelor. We saw 16%, or they saw a 16% lift in tune in for their television shows for the people on Snapchat in that hard to reach demo that were exposed to those shows. So it's a complementary thing.
And just to be clear, this demo is what, 18, 24?
18 to 24 is who we really think about when we program. Okay. Yeah.
And what is the number now? About 173 million?
Yeah, there's 173 million daily active users.
Daily active users.
They visit about 30 times a day on average. And so it's a very engaged
Okay.
group.
So the partners you've worked with so far, and we're going to watch a clip in a second, which is a sizzle, which has lots of the partners that you've just been talking about and some more. Have they've been happy because they've seen lift? Have they had to modify what they've done at all after putting stuff on Snap? Have they sort of said, oh, we shouldn't have done it that way, we might have done it this way? I mean, have there been some learnings?
Yeah, I mean, we're in season 3 of The Voice, and I think if you looked at the first and season to the third, you'd see a lot of evolution. You know, in the beginning, there was a lot of, you know, hey, we're doing a television shoot, and at the end, we'll just tack on a really quick thing for your mobile shoot. I think everybody knows now that doesn't work. This is a different skill set. It's a different creative approach, and it needs to have a real focus. So that's changed.
Right. Okay. Should we run the sizzle now?
Sure.
Yeah. So this is the sizzle reel. I think this is clip 5 now. Where are we? Yes. Clip 5, please.
What's up? I'm Steve Aoki, and welcome to my playhouse. Peace out.
It's a super awkward dating show.
That is his girlfriend. Oh, stop.
I'm marrying them. I went online and I got ordained.
Everybody has problems. Sometimes you just have to talk it out.
You're styling a look that will guarantee you a spot on the best dress list.
Go! Let's go. This is the rundown.
Coincidence or not?
You make your comeback the very same day Katy Perry drops her album.
Is that too obvious?
We shouldn't even use these phones.
What? Why?
Because they're made in China by little slave kids.
I'm not gonna do like Trump and little slave kids today.
One night stands. What is that? I'm a virgin. Just kidding. I had 2 in 1 week 3 weeks ago.
Ask the rules. Ask the rules. Turned down for what? Sharks. The badasses of the animal kingdom.
This is what the fans wanted.
Get up! It's game day!
Golden State back on top.
Hurricane Harvey continues to pound the Gulf Coast, triggering flash flood warnings for more than 8 million people.
Berkeley was consumed by violence earlier this year when Milo Yiannopoulos showed up on campus with the goal of pissing off the left.
Welcome to Ghost Hunt.
Me and my friend want you to subscribe.
I love the little ghost. Me and my friend want us to subscribe.
I'm going to get you one.
I need a ghost,
Yes.
yeah. Everybody needs a ghost in their life. So, I mean, that's great. You can see there's a real breadth of, you know, different partners that you've worked with. They've done interesting things. I mean, I've forgotten about Planet Earth 2. I mean, that was, I always thought when I read about that, I said, really? Planet Earth 2 on this? Seriously? That's not going to work. But, I mean, it worked, right?
Yeah, it works
It was a different approach. But
it was different. It's again, it's more highly concentrated
Yeah.
form of storytelling, and they just had incredible footage that they didn't use,
Yeah.
and that we partnered with them very closely
Yeah.
to sort of frame it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that was NBC content, as we've said before. I mean, you know, we've got the nightly news show, the Stay Tuned thing, E's the Rundown. We talked about The Voice already. So NBCU has had a track record with you already. They've been working with you for about a year, right?
Yeah.
At least, okay. And I know they invested $500 million in the IPO. So they were obviously interested in Snap, clearly.
Yeah.
And now, of course, today we have this new announcement about this new joint venture content creation studio. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, they've been an incredible partner, and from the beginning we've shared a common vision for mobile as a new medium, and the investment that's required to sort of crack the code on this whole thing. And we've always expected, you know, the Stay Tuned show that they launched. I mean, that's a serious undertaking.
Yep.
Almost 30 million people though watched it in the first month. It's twice a day, and
30 million people watched it in the first month on Snap.
Yep.
Wow.
And so I used the Voice example earlier. They have also understood that it requires it's a focused skill set. You need to really have a focused attention to learn how to make this. It's a different talent, and so
it's a different muscle.
It's a different muscle, and so when we talked about our ambitions to move into scripted, which was always going to be part of our plan, they were the natural partner to co-invest in a new independent company that could be solely focused on thinking about scripted for mobile.
Okay, and we have a guest to bring on
Yes,
stage
we
now.
don't have a name for this new company yet, but we do have an incredible leader that we found, Lauren Anderson.
That's great. So could you please welcome Lauren Anderson? She is currently NBC's Entertainment Senior Vice President of Primetime Programming. Please welcome her to the stage. Hi, Lauren.
Hi,
Thanks
how
for
are
coming.
you?
It's great to see you. This is a very exciting day, right?
It is.
I mean,
incredibly exciting.
Wow. And you're going to be the new Chief Content Officer, right? For this new
I've been
venture.
told.
Wow, this is a big job. So,
This is day -7.
at A-7, that's right.
Yeah.
When did they tell you that you were getting this job?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
When did she tell us she would accept it?
Yeah, right. Maybe that was yesterday. So, Lauren, you've been doing television for a while. You were involved with The Office, the U.S. version of The Office. You've done Parks and Recreation. I mean, you've created a lot of what I would call traditional television content.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you interested in working with Snap on this? Where are you coming from? What's the exciting part for you?
You know, I have to say there are so many reasons that I'm excited to work with Snap on this venture.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get to them, I do want to, though, take a minute to sort of publicly thank Sean and the entire Snap team for welcoming me, to everyone at Comcast, NBCUniversal for being so supportive, because they know how excited I am about this and about what this could mean. I think for me there are a few things, but I'll maybe try to keep it to 3. The first one is that I do think it's a progression of what I've already been doing in the best possible way. Working with writers and talent and producers on creating really great, engaging content for the audience is something that we are going to do here. And so that continuity couldn't have been more important. And having that was pretty key and critical in terms of making the transition. I think another part of it for me, though, is the challenge of really programming for a very specific audience. I mean, certainly we want everyone, but given the demo that Sean spoke about earlier, we're trying to reach that target, and we need to reach them where they are. They've shown us that there's a very specific way that they like to watch content. There are different expectations than what we have on the sort of traditional television side in terms of how they want to interact with content. And so figuring out the model for programming for them is going to be so fun, quite frankly. And then I do think that there's just a really great opportunity for showrunners, writers, and storytellers. There aren't only 30 and 60-minute stories to tell. And so I think coming to Snap and seeing that there's a different way to tell different types of stories will be incredibly exciting for the creative community.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because, somebody who's, looking at this would say, well, why do you really need to have a studio to do this? Why not just commission content? So we've heard from Sean that it's very special. It's a different kind of medium. I've just heard you kind of say it too. What is the having a joint venture studio going to allow you to do that's maybe different from just, taking pitches from people and just saying, oh yeah, yes, no, yes, no? What's the studio environment going to help you do?
I mean,
I don't know. Either.
I can make a suggestion. I mean, I think, yes, again, it requires a focused attention. Yeah. It's a different creative skill. But I think what we're excited about with this studio, and we announced our first partner actually alongside the studio today, the Duplass brothers, is
Mark and Jay.
Mark and Jay. The notion that we can actually, because this is still a very new thing, that we actually can build deep relationships with a select number of creators who have voice, who have point of view, and who get as excited as we do about sort of cracking the code on this as a new medium. I think that's a huge opportunity.
Because they're interesting, because they've done some stuff for Netflix, they've done some stuff for YouTube. I mean, they're sort of creative in this kind of newer space, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go with them first? In other words, was it something about what they've done before? Was it something about their ambition? I mean, talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, it was a series of wonderful meetings where we just saw the world the same way.
Oh yeah, okay, that helps.
And they were sort of advancing our thinking in the course of the meeting about what could be possible. So that was really exciting. You mentioned they have really deep relationships with HBO and Netflix. They are sort of somewhat serial monogamous in that way, actually. So I love the fact that they're not just taking a project and shopping it around, they're actually trying to find a home to really develop with, and that's exciting for us.
So now you're going to become one of their serial monogamous players, right?
Well, yeah, we're willing to let them see other people, but yeah. But you know, they've worked in a range of styles. They've been really innovative. They've done a range of styles, a range of formats, everything from animation to long form film. And so, you know, there's something about their sort of ethos that I think maps onto Snapchat really well, which is they're really into, you know, the sort of the complexity and the humor and of real human relationships. There's a real authenticity to all of their work, and that's, again, very similar to how people talk to each other on Snapchat in this sort of really unrehearsed way.
So what are you going to commission? I mean, I've read there's been some reports today. Is it like 5-minute episodes? Is it 8-minute episodes? Is it 2-minute episodes? What do you actually want?
So shows to date have been 3 to 5 minutes. That's been, you know, and we've experimented a bit, and that's been a real sweet spot. Okay. You know, we want to give them a lot of creative freedom, but I think something in that that area is probably what makes the most sense.
Okay. And is the idea that then you could stitch them together and run them as a half hour or something? I mean, is that the idea that you could then take that content and, I don't know, put it on another platform, sell it to a broadcaster? Or is the idea you keep it totally in-house, you own the IP totally, it's only for Snap?
Well, in terms of the creative, the idea is that this is made for mobile. I think if you were worried about stitching all these things together and putting it somewhere else, you wouldn't be doing that. Right. So, you know, look, you know, we want to make it very easy for you to binge watch all of them, and if you want to spend half an hour doing that, great. But it's not made with the intention of putting it somewhere else.
Okay, all right. So the idea is you probably will own all the IP. You know, it's like, you know, Netflix comes in, Amazon comes in, they write a big check, they own the world in perpetuity, all the IP, and it's the same with you. You want to probably have that model?
No, we're sort of open-minded. We're figuring that out. We have different models.
And what about sort of cost per minute, or I don't know how you want to even think about it. I mean, what kind of money are you putting into this? And maybe this is for Lauren as well, because obviously having this joint venture means that you've got the power of NBC to a certain extent behind you, and obviously they're going to, I assume, put some money into this as well. What kind of budgets are you talking about? I mean, are you going to try to do, I don't know, $100 million worth of, I mean, you know.
Yeah, you know, so we're each 50-50 owners in this new entity, and we're serious about it. We think it requires serious investment. But again, I think, you know, this is not about, you see, there's a headline every day now about how many billions of dollars everybody is spending. We're playing a very different game here. We are not trying to be the highest bidder for projects that are being shopped around. We are trying to build deeper relationships with a select number of creators. We think that's going to be a better outcome for where this medium is in 2018. And you know, we'll see how it evolves over time. One thing's certain, it will definitely change, but that's our current approach.
That sounds like a good way to do it, Lauren. I mean, that's what the creators want, don't they? They want to know they are going to reach an audience, which obviously Snap can deliver. They want to know they're going to be respected in terms of their ideas. I mean, is that part of the way you're going to sort of say, come in, talk to us?
100%. 100%. I think what I've learned in my time at NBC and now bringing this over to Snap is that creators want to feel like they have freedom, that they are in a place that supports their vision, that they can play, quite frankly. And I think that that's the other thing that's really great about this, is that we are in experimenting mode. And so having creators come in and they have ideas that maybe didn't fit in other places, they could be amazing for us. So that's absolutely the environment and the atmosphere that we want to create for very established talent and for new talent. So we're going to be a home for everyone, we think, and we're excited about that.
And is there any kind of genre that you're looking at? Now I can look at both of you. You know, do you want a lot of comedy? Are you interested in, I don't know, drama? You know, heavy drama? I assume you don't want costume drama. I don't know.
You never know.
Wait, you never know. What?
I mean, I think, look, there are certain shows that are much better on television, right? You know, and we like to put our phones down and watch TV. So, you know, I think a slow burn drama with a lot of different characters and very complex storylines. I mean, we do try to keep it fairly straightforward. I mean, if you have to re-explain the premise of the show every single time in the first intro, then maybe it's not quite right for the
So you're probably not going to do a version of Bleak House on no.
Perhaps not. But
Maybe not, right.
But but I do think that comedy is really exciting, and obviously Lauren has very deep relationships there, and there's a lot of sort of long-running shows with really developed characters in comedy that I think will serve as an inspiration for us. But I think drama could work as well. I mean, I'm particularly obsessed lately about figuring out what a sort of high frequency daily sort of scripted soap would look like, or a telenovela of sorts, where you can tell stories in these short bursts and you sort of leave people wanting more. Again, the behavior of Snapchat is people come with great frequency every day. 20, 30 times a day. So I think we have the opportunity to sort of program that way as well.
That's actually a good idea, because it's funny, when you look at soap opera writers, they are very talented people. I mean, we always say in the UK, which is where I am based, that a lot of the writers that end up writing very complicated dramas start in soaps, because they're complicated, long-running stories that have to have cliffhangers, have to have all the ingredients of really good storytelling. So that might make perfect sense.
Yeah, we were just talking last night. I mean, there are shows that are on the air that I think could have been scripted in 4-minute increments. It would require a different process. You wouldn't take the script and just rip off every 4 pages, but you'd have to really creatively think it through and how to keep people engaged.
Right. Now, Snap is ad supported. Basically, the advertising is what supports the ecosystem. What we're seeing now with a lot of these digital players is we're getting subscription. I mean, subscription VOD is like one of the other flavors that we're talking about. I was in a session earlier today, and the lady from Roku was saying, well, subscription VOD is growing like crazy, but advertiser VOD is also growing really fast. So my question is this: do you think you'll stay in advertising supported, or do you think you might move into some kind of subscription model? Because if you're getting into scripted content, there's a potential to actually have some kind of subscription.
Yeah. No, it's, I think for where we are today, advertising is going to be the dominant revenue stream. We have, an incredible ability to deliver an audience and to target advertising, and there's more and more revenue moving through the platform than ever before in advertising. So that's our focus. And I think, with shows in particular, there's some, we're trying to be as inventive on what the ad model for it will be, so that'll keep evolving as well. But advertising is our focus.
And do you think the evolution of the ad model will also include, let's say, branded content? I mean, that's another growing area. You've seen it if you walk around the Palais. You'll see that there's lots of people that are trying to figure out how to get closer to the brands, because the brands, of course, are worried if they're losing some of these audiences on linear television. How do they get them? How do they engage with them in a better way? So are you also talking about branded content? Because I know the Duplass brothers have done branded as well.
Yeah, no, I think we're open-minded to that. I mean, it's as long as the story is the story and it's holding the interest of the audience, and there's a smart and tasteful way to do it. I think we remain very open-minded about that, and we'll probably experiment with that a little bit.
I think that's a good idea. And then in terms of sort of how you sell the advertising, I mean, again, I'm comparing it to other platforms, but I guess that's the way of the world. A lot of these other platforms, for example, Facebook, they sell the advertising, you get a share, that's the way it's done. Google, pretty much the same way. How do you see that? I think at Snap right now, you allow publishers to sell advertising, you co-sell. Is that a model that will continue even in the scripted world?
Yeah, it's been very successful for us. I mean, in our relationship with NBC and in support of this new company, both of our companies can bring the inventory to market and the shows to market. So, there's great advantages to sort of activating all these sales forces across all of our companies to help sell the platform. And, again, what's true today may not be true in 12 months, but right now that's really working for us, and so we feel good about it.
Okay. So here we are, sitting here, announcement today, new joint venture, very exciting. Where would you like to be in, say, I don't know, a year from now? How many shows would you like to have on the platform? What would be success? How would you write success?
Yeah, and I think we were discussing this. We love the scarcity. We don't want to make this is about quality, not quantity, right?
Absolutely.
And so, it's not about hitting any predetermined number of shows. It's really about, success for us, I think, in so many ways is creating cultural moments. You've seen that for Snapchat across all of our products, right? You've got the dancing hot dog this year is a phenomenon. Probably a top Halloween costume. The puking rainbow was one last year. Those are examples of fun, weird, but wonderful sort of.
If you don't know about these, ask your children. Yeah. The puking rainbow. I've forgotten about that. Yes.
So I think for us,
so you want to create moments, really. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you want it to stand out. It's what we in the television business sometimes call tentpole projects, right? Things that really go, whoo. grab your attention.
Things that are buzzy, things that are in the conversation, that'll be a way for us to know that this is working.
So for these guys out here in the audience, is there anything that you really don't want? Like, don't pitch me this. Is there anything that you just think, no?
Anything you don't want to be pitched?
I don't think, I mean, by the way,
Yes.
there's a good version of everything, I'm sure. So I hesitate to say, please don't pitch me this, but.
No one can pass on something harder and more sweetly than.
So, I'll see promise in a lot of things, but you also know what's going to work, I think, to some extent, or at least what really has the opportunity to do something here. I don't think that we're thinking that way right now.
Okay.
I think for us, it's about being really open to ideas, but as Sean said, it's also about really being strategic about our partners, because that vision is what's going to drive the content.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be us deciding this is the idea. It's about having someone who has a vision, really bringing that vision forward in a way that makes sense for what this platform is and for who the audience is.
It'll be interesting to see, because I mean, we've heard about premium mobile content before. I mean, Vivendi's launched some stuff through Havas. I mean, Dominic Delport was on the stage talking about what they were doing. Studio Canal Plus, Studio Plus, which was their mobile premium content. So, I mean, mobile's obviously really big. Everybody's trying to figure it out. I mean, that is the future, video on mobile. So it's just, you have to figure out how you're going to slice it, what it's going to make that's going to make it work on your platform. And I'm sure that's a work in progress.
And I think that's why we took the time to even, I wanted to bring in the clips and show sort of how we're trying to deconstruct, being a platform where so much mobile video creation is happening is a real advantage for us, and taking the approach we had, which I haven't seen other people take quite the same approach, which is to really try to say, let's put some definition around this. I was having a lot of meetings early in the job, and you would meet with producers and talent and directors and showrunners, and they would say, look, I know what it looks like when I make a TV show, and I know what it looks like when I make a film. And I see everybody with their nose in their phone, but I actually don't know where to start. And I think that there's just a million different things. So one of the decisions we made was, let's put some definition around this format. Yep. Let's try to say, here's what a show is on mobile. Yep. Here's how it should work. Here's some of the characteristics. Now, please come in and break all the rules. Yeah. Like, we know this much about what this is the very early days, right. But let's take a point of view about what that should be. And I think that's something that we're doing in a very unique way. And we have this audience that's already watching this kind of content on this platform.
Well, it sounds very exciting to me. I mean, I think, it's interesting because you talked about, this is what we think is going to happen. We're only just starting. I also think that brings up this whole idea of, how you use your data, because you know what these people are doing, right? You know how long they're watching. You know a lot about what they're doing on this device. So that, that data is a very rich base. How much are you using that, do you think, in this whole process?
Yeah, that's a good question, and you're going to enjoy looking behind the curtain.
I actually can't wait. It was one of, no kidding, it was one of the first things I said to one of the other Snap execs, that I cannot wait to dive in, because I think that research and data are one of those things that you should use it to give you some broad sense, but it can't drive everything that you do. But it can be, I think, informative in terms of saying, okay, these are some patterns, and if you can start sort of connecting the dots with some of those patterns, then they can help shape perhaps an idea, a story, etc. So I'm very much looking forward to diving into the data.
Well, I think that's a good way to end, because we don't want to do programming by algorithm, but on the other hand,
no, this is art, not science.
This is art, not science, and that's a very good thing to end on. I've really enjoyed talking to you both. I'll be very interested to see what you come up with. I'm sure it's going to be really exciting for you and also for you. So please join me in thanking Sean Mills and also Lauren Anderson. Sorry. Thank you.